क्या हो गया? क्लाउड रिकॉर्डिंग ऑन हो गई। अब देखना ऑप्शन आ रहे हैं।
चेक कर रहा हूँ। नहीं, अभी नहीं आ रहा ऑप्शन। ये क्लाउड पे जा रहा है।
केशव, तुम्हारे में आ रहे क्या?
हाँ, मेरे पास आ रहा है रिकॉर्डिंग।
नहीं नहीं,
क्लाउड
वो
पे जा रहा है।
नहीं नहीं, कंप्यूटर पे रिकॉर्ड करने का ऑप्शन आ रहा है।
नहीं, अभी चला गया, तब से आ था बट अभी
अच्छा,
चला गया।
मेरे में भी चला
क्लाउड पे
गया।
हो रहा है ना रिकॉर्ड।
क्लाउड पे ही रहने दो तो इट्स फाइन।
ठीक है।
अगर लोकल रिकॉर्ड कर सकते हो तो कर लो।
नहीं यार, लोकल रिकॉर्ड का ऑप्शन चला गया।
नहीं नहीं, ओबीएस या किसी उसके थ्रू।
ओबीएस से कर लो, ओबीएस तो मैं इंस्टॉल ही नहीं किया कर।
तब रहने तो सेटअप में टाइम लग जाएगा।
कल कैसी थी क्लास वैसे?
मेरे को तो मजा आया था।
Thanks.
चलो स्टार्ट करते हैं फिर। ओके।
हाँ, भैया आएंगे क्या?
एक सेकंड में स्पेस चेक कर लो। क्लाउड।
हाँ, चेक कर लो। भैया का पता नहीं है अभी। आ सकते हैं, मतलब पता तो।
अपन ही करते हैं।
अभी तो एक
आप
मीट
चैट।
है भैया की, उसको पहले ज्वाइन करना, उसके बाद आएंगे।
ओके।
एक मीट है क्या? मीटिंग है क्या?
हाँ, एक है सुपर थर्टी वाला बंदा, उसके साथ है।
ओह, अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा।
चलो मैं स्टार्ट कर रहा हूँ।
ठीक है। हे गाइस, 150 या पैसा कमिंग इन। हेलो। यो। I'm good. How are you guys? How was your weekend? Hello. Uh, Chalo, we'll start in a few minutes. Let everyone join. Move upstairs. Yes. Mm-hmm. विमल को बात कर सही। हाँ, आज करेंगे। आज वेबसाइट रिव्यू करेंगे। कैन सी हर कहते हैं यू वाई दो द पर्सनालिटी कम्युनिकेशन। थैंक्स निखिल। देन कल किरण सर बोले, कुछ बोले क्या? नहीं नहीं, कुछ नहीं बोले। कांट सी लेक्चर वन। अब आई थिंक रिकॉर्डिंग्स विल बी अपलोडेड later. So a slight disclaimer, I'm kind of sick. थोड़ा I got the weather, but I'll try my best to be as resourceful as possible today. But yeah, let's see how it goes. Vimal supremacy, yeah, big fan, sir. Okay, so starting May, we'll start with a few doubts from yesterday. Uh, Yesterday was a really good class, I guess. A lot of you, I don't know, become a big fan of me for some reason. Then I got a few review, a quite handful of feedback. Big fan. Thanks, AK. Then I'll try to implement those feedbacks today, and we'll start from there. Let me turn off my camera because that's gonna just stop my video again for some reason disconnecting. So I'll share my screen and we can start from there. So am I sharing my screen? I hope you guys could see my screen right now. So let's do a recap from where we left the class yesterday. We did a little bit of a design for a project kind of web page. So I worked upon that and I came up with this web page. So I'll be walking you guys on how I did this, what are design choices I had to make, what changes did I make from the previous design. So this is like completely new canvas. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah. So this is what we're gonna be developing by the end of today's class. I hope this is not controversial. If any of your parents are watching, uncle and aunties, or whoever your bhaiya, jo bhi dekh rahe hain, this is like a parody website. It's a random topic which we are trying to make. There is no gambling or no bad influence your kid is having on. So I hope you guys don't mind. And yeah, let's just start today's class. We'll start with a few doubts. And one of the major point feedback I had from yesterday's class is that I got a bit fast at the end of the class. That is why designing in Figma. Um, the reason was the class was about to end, the time was up, and I had to increase the pace a bit so that I don't waste your guys' time, because it's your weekend and I know you have places to be, I know how you have weekend to enjoy. So that's the reason I had to increase the pace. So shall we do a quick Q&A? AK, if you could open the chat for a bit, we can have a few questions from yesterday's class. If you guys have, we'll do a Q&A for 5 minutes, then we will start. Okay, don't spam, guys. I think there are less people in today's class, so the chat should be quite handy. Yeah, just send your text once and I'll try to be people left. Yeah. It's okay. Sigma recap, file tree structure in Figma on left side. Okay, sub sick, doing good. What's up? Vision. What is saturation? Okay. We'll start with that. Saturation is like the redness or the punchiness of your color. That's the best definition which I could give you right now. When we will get the video for this class, as I was absent, I hope that should be up in the next week. Revision, recap. Everyone's doing that. Grids in Figma, what is saturation, what are layers? Okay, so let's do a quick revise, then we'll start with today's class. So in the last class, we discussed about typography, and what in typography we discussed, the different types of fonts. What is a font? What is a typeface? Different types of fonts. How do you use a font? How do you represent hierarchy with a font? What is font weight? And the typical typography jargon, just line height, line letter spacing, and kerning. Next, I shared a few resources with you guys. Also, there's a list of resources which I have updated in the same link as yesterday. Let me share that in the chat real quick. So, yeah, I don't know Telugu. Yeah. Then, okay. So I shared a few resources in the same link as yesterday. It's in the last slide. You could go from there. Then after typography, we jumped into colors. In colors, I discussed what is a color represent in your design, what is a color, how do you use color properly, why you should not use multiple colors, why you should just stick to a minimal set of colors, and why you should consistently use colors. And we discussed about accessibility, we discussed about the 60-30-10 rule, and the color psychology, etc. And I also share a few resources here. Then after colors, we jumped into UI UX. What did we learn in UI UX? We understood the difference between UI and UX. We understood how UI and UX go hand in hand in the designing process or in the development process, and we learned how designing goes in hand to hand with development. And this was just a brief introduction to UI UX. Then we learned about different concepts in UI. We learned about hierarchy, white space, consistency, and continuity. So these are like the few concepts in UI. We discussed why does hierarchy matters, the types of consistencies, continuity, and why does white space matter. These topics will be a bit more clearer after today's session, because will be having more practical examples. Another feedback which I got yesterday was there was less of practical knowledge, but there was more of theory. That's understandable, but designing is kind of a bit more theoretical, because you need to understand a bit of laws and theories. But I'll try to be more practical today with some more examples. Then we discussed this, then we jumped on to UX laws. We discussed around 6 laws about UX. We understood why these laws are important. Then I made you guys decide a topic to create a website on, and we, as a collective part of yesterday's class, decided to create a web page for Vimal. So we made a parody website for Vimal. We called it Vimal, and we basically did a rough sketch or a wireframe or a rough idea of Vimal. I cleaned the link a bit. I will be sharing the link with you guys right now. Anyone can view. Perfect. Copy the link. Just don't throw a lot of comments in here, but you could refer. I just shared the link so that you guys could refer from here. So we created a web page, a web UI, and that's where we ended the class. So uh, I hope that's clear, and I hope the recap is good. Can we have a poll? Should we go ahead, or do we want something else to be discussed before we start the class? Yes or no? Yeah, perfect. The 13%, yeah, 13% we will be having a 30-minute doubt session or a review session at the end of today's class, and we will be solving a lot of doubts. I'll try to wrap up today's session pretty quick because it's Sunday. You'll be having your time. You can spend your time. Then let's see how that goes from there. So let's start with Figma. And I also said I'll be sharing a resource about color contrast. So this is like a cool website for color contrast checking. This, basically you add text color here and you add your background color here. And the website is going to give you, is going to rate your color contrast depending on the contrast rules. So this is a good website. I've added that in the resources list as well. At the end of the notes, you could find that. I could find the resources at the end of the notes. It's here, resources. These are the few links. That it's in color section. So, okay, it's not updated, but there you go. I'll just copy and paste it. You can check contrast for your websites over here. Then let's jump into Figma then. So basics of Figma. There are a lot of tutorials. I don't want to spend a lot of time in explaining you every small bit of Figma because that would be repetitive. So let me just give you a brief overview of the layout. This side is kind of a layer section. If you ever used Photoshop, if you're not used Photoshop, that's okay. But here you will be having all of your layers. What's a layer you would say? Uh, it's basically it's a layer. I don't know how to explain that, but layer is like this one section of your UI. You can overlay layers on top of each other. You can have nested layers. A layer is, you can have a tree structure with your layers, etc. Then you will be having your layers here. On the right hand side, you'll be having all the tools that you will be using during the design process. So this is the default view for your tool section. After this, am I audible? AK, am I audible?
Yes, super audible.
Okay. Yeah, did not get any response because I shared the link in Figma, but nobody joined, so thought I got disconnected. Anyways, so these are the layers, and if you click on a frame, what's a frame? You might say, if you don't remember, a frame is like basically your canvas in Figma, on top of which you will be doing your art, your designs, everything. So if I say desktop, which is the desktop, the resolution for your desktop is basically for a laptop resolution. I don't know why Figma does that, and most of the designers hate it. The desktop resolution is usually 1920 by 1080, but Figma gives you 1440, which is the default resolution for MacBooks or a Mac. But a desktop has a width of 1920. A laptop has a width of around 1280 to 1440, but you could design for 1440. That's good. Then we do for tablets. tablet has a resolution width of 768 pixels, and a mobile we opted for 375 in the design process because that's like a very reasonable width and it covers almost most of the devices. So we designed a rough idea for the website, and as I have told you guys yesterday that I'll be working on top of that and I'll be coming up with a new design or an improved version of that design, and we will start developing that design today. So let me discuss about the changes which I did in yesterday's design. Let me go to that link. Basically, this is the yesterday's design. Okay, guys, calm down. Oh, sure. Okay, anyways, I'll just create another duplicate file and go from there. So here we have yesterday's design. This was yesterday's design, which looked like a design made by I don't know, a kid. But then then we have today's design, which I had to redesign because I wanted to make it as user friendly as possible. So I'll be explaining the different design choices I made and what UX laws I had implemented. Yeah, AK is a kid. Then, so I have maintained the color palette from yesterday's class, but I have changed the font. Yesterday we were using Manro, but I have changed that to DM Sans, which is also a sans serif font, but I feel like it looks better compared to yesterday's font, and it just feels better for this particular project. And I've replaced the image with another image of Ajay Devgan because this looks pixelated if you notice, and we don't want this to happen in your design. The images should be pretty top notch, sharp, and high quality. Because if you provide with a bad image, and websites usually do some processing on top of your images, so that the bad image will become worse. So just make sure you have a proper high quality image in your website. So I replaced the image. I edited the text a bit. The text size, if you notice, there's some hierarchy here. The subtext is smaller. Uh, just give me a second, guys. Yeah, sorry for that. So if you notice, we are representing hierarchy here. There is a larger text, which is supposed to be our header, which is our main text. Then we have a subtext, which is the smaller text, which complements the header text, which is supposed to be complementing the header text or your brand guidelines. It depends on how you're going to use that. Then there's also a nav bar. I reduced the font size a bit because this just looks in your face. We don't want that. Your logo should be very minimal at the top. If you are trying to use your logo, or sometimes you don't even want to use your logo, but it's better to use your logo. Then I reduced the number of links to just two, depending on our use case. We just have products and a die now button, which is a sarcastic response from one of you guys. You just wanted me to change it to die now. So I did that. So after that, in the next section, this is all about our hero section. This part is called above the fold. If I do a presentation, and if you notice, this is how the the website would look if you open in a browser. So whatever you see right now, that's called above the fold section of your website. What do you mean by above the fold, you might say? Above the fold is like the part of your page which you arrive first. Like if you land on a page and whatever you see, it belongs to you know above the fold section. It belongs to the above the fold section. So in our above the fold section, we need to be as straightforward as possible, and we need to provide we need to make sure we grasp the user's attention in the above the fold part of the section, and the user should be sold in the above the fold section. This is not a very good example for that. This is like a rough design we did. So please don't consider this as a perfect design. This is a rough design I did just for tutorial purposes, and it's not a perfect design. There might be faults in this. There are faults in this. I can see that there's a lot of white space. You don't need this much of white space. This doesn't look pretty done. It's like a prototype version of your website. Then if I go down, we have the content section. This is the second section of your website. Here we will be showing the user who will be landing on a page the types of products we are going to sell. So right now we're just selling one product, which is Bimal Ilaichi. So I just copied this image, and we have two buttons here, if you notice, and there's a lot of white spacing here. I have implemented our learnings from yesterday's class regarding textual hierarchy. So if I go here and start it, yeah, that's here. So if you notice here, I have implemented the same thing. Yeah, my bad, my voice. Then if you notice, we have implemented similar hierarchy here. There's a ample amount of white space to differentiate different parts of the text. And we have the header text, which is bold and pretty big compared to other parts of the text. Then we have the body text, which is supposed to be smaller and pretty readable by the user. And another tip here, if you're designing an UI, the number of characters in a line should be around 13. That's considered to be, I think it's 13 or 14, somewhere around that. And that's considered to be a good number of characters to be readable. It's good to have just 13 letters or characters in a single line. So I think these are around 12. But another point to be noted that these laws are good to be followed, but it's not mandatory to be followed. Like, oh, you need to follow that at a point of a knife. It's not supposed to be like that. These are good to be followed kind of things. So make sure to have these rules at the back of your mind while you're designing something, because these are just good to be followed. Then we have two buttons here. One of them is primary button, which holds more weight in the design. And the next we have a secondary button, which holds comparatively lesser weight in this particular section of the design. We are talking about just this particular card. We are not talking about anything outside of this particular section of the card. So these are two designs which we are discussing. So we have a button one, primary button, then we have a secondary button, which holds less weight in the design. Shit. That's my bubble, sorry. Then we have an image here. We are using the same image. So let me break down how I've designed this in Figma. So this is a single card or a frame. Here you notice these are frames. Everything in Figma is counted as a frame, or you can also do shapes here. This is a rectangle I did. I clicked on R, by the way. If you click on R, you can draw a rectangle. And I'll just design this card for you guys real quick, and we can move from there. I selected a frame. So what's the difference between a frame and a rectangle you would say. Frame is like a div in HTML, if that makes sense. And rectangle is basically a shape. You don't want to use a shape while designing. You want to have a division or a proper thing which is assigned, which has some meaning behind it. Frame is like a div in HTML. So try to use frame while designing, and it just makes your life easier while developing it. So I created a frame, basic frame. It just auto-filled it. Then I added an image. This image you can I'll tell you guys how you can export that when we are moving to developing part. And I'm just gonna copy this. I copied it and pasted it here, and this image is gonna go here. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the image, sorry, the frame. And if you notice, the image is inside the frame. It's nested inside the frame. So if I do that, this is outside the frame right now. And if you just want that to be inside your frame, it's like having an image inside of a div container, div tag in your HTML. Next, I'll try to let's understand what auto layout is once again. Auto layout is similar to flex and flex boxes in CSS, and it just aligns the content inside your card for you. There's a button here on the right hand side which says use auto layout, where you can just use Shift A. If you click on this, the card is gonna automatically adjust itself depending on the content inside it. So because we are using hub content and everything. So now you can assign padding to your card. And I think, yeah, we are using 24 padding on both the like X and Y padding in our design, in the card design. So let's use 24 and 24 again. And the gap between, we are using 24. I'll just explain what this gap does in a bit. Now, we are supposed to be having a text box and a button box inside of this card. So for a text box, we'll be using the text button down here, which says, or you can just use the shortcut T. I'm just going to use the shortcut T, or you can just click on here and you click anywhere, just start typing. You're going to type Vimal Ilaichi, and you select your font here, DM Sans. I think font weight, it's bold. Yeah, that's bold and -3. If you guys remember, this is line height, this is letter spacing, and this is your font size. This is the font weight. These are, pretty basic alignment settings. There's a lot more settings in here. You can just go around Figma and have it go at it. So I just want to make this bold. This was 24 and this is -3. Now, if you notice, I'm using two different colors in here. How are we gonna achieve that, you might say? We need to do is, you go inside the text box. This is a text box, right? You select the text box and you will drag on the text which you want to change the color of. You will, these four icons up here. This is gonna open the styles which we created yesterday. If you remember, we used a plugin from Tailwind CSS generator. This is a plugin which will allow you to create a color palette for your website design. So we made a color palette, which is basically a few shades of orange for our website. Then, so this is supposed to be black or the darkest shade of our color palette. And this is supposed to be our branding color, which is 600 or 500, depends on the contrast we want to provide. Next, let's change the fill color, which is not white. This is not white. If you could see this, it's a shade of orange. So it's Cancery color 100, if you notice that. Let me change that to Cancery color, which I just renamed that to. It's Cancery color 100. I'll cut that. I'll select the frame. I'll put that inside the frame. Now, if you notice, the content is automatically aligned in a column, but I want that to be side by side. I don't want it to be in a column. I want it to be in a row. So if you notice, there's a section with arrows over here. if you click on the next arrow, horizontal layout, the card will align the items automatically in a horizontal way. So I want it to be horizontal and I want the items to be aligned in center. You can select left or right, it's up to you, but doesn't matter because you're gonna having another set of grouping in here. So now the card looks kind of similar with the design we have made it here. Next, the edges, if you notice, the border has a bit radius here. Yeah, that's 24 pixels. We want this card to have border radius as well. So I'll be changing the appearance with 24 pixel of border radius. And this is 24 pixel of border radius. Now, we want to add this text box. Let's just create another text box. And I'll just copy this text. Lorem ipsum is dummy text, by the way. It doesn't mean anything, it's gibberish. I think AK had a meaning, AK found some meaning behind it, but no, not AK. AK did not find it. Lorem ipsum is basically a Latin placeholder text. Then next, we are supposed to be adding text box down here. We'll create another text section here. I'm just selecting T again, clicking on T. I'm making a text box here. I'll be pasting the text we just copied, and it just looks wild. Now we are gonna create another div element here, which is another frame. We'll be creating another auto layout frame here. Clicking on auto layout again, we'll be aligning them in vertical manner, sorry. Then if you notice, it looks similar, but we are not quite there yet. Next, if you notice, there's a gap of 8 pixels over here. The gap is 8 pixels, so we will be doing that as well. Right now it's 24 pixels. We don't want 24 pixels, we want 8 pixels. I just reduce that, and I'll be reducing the width because the line shouldn't be too long, and it's a bad user experience. Next, we need to add buttons down there. How did I create a button, you might ask? Same, it's similar to how we created the card. We create a frame, we add some text inside it. I create the text box again, I click on text box, we write die now. And we select the text box and the frame. Notice that it's already nested inside it. We click on auto layout, we select the padding, which I have used 2:1 in 2:1 ratio. That's gonna be 20 and 10, it's 2:1 ratio. I've used 2, 20, and 10, and we are using border radius of 10 pixels. 10 pixels. And the color we are using fill, which is set at 500. So we'll be doing that as well. 500. The text color is supposed to be white. So we're going to select the text box and we're going to change the color to the lighter shade, which is Cancer E50. Now, we'll be adding this. We want to add this part in here. So I will throw that in there, but it's going to make it align horizontally, thinking that it's another div. But we want this entire section to be the right half of our card and the image to be the left half of our card. So if we move on and I auto layout it again and I make it align vertically and I will just move it up. Now we have card which looks similar to what we have designed earlier. And there's just this other button is lacking. So what we're gonna do is we'll duplicate this part, we'll duplicate this button. I think there's a duplicate option, but if you click on Control T, I just clicked Control T and it will duplicate the button for you. And now again, you're gonna select the both of the buttons. You're gonna use auto layout again. We're gonna align them with horizontally, and we will change the color of this button, and it's gonna be dilator. We're gonna change the color from Cancery color to 100, and we're gonna change the text to Cancery 950. There you go. And we will also be changing the gap between these two text buttons. It's 8 pixels. There you go. We just designed a card in Figma. I feel like I was a bit fast there. Can we do a poll, AK, and can we have a feedback from the guys? If we wanna, if you guys understood, or do you want me to go again? Okay, majority is understanding. So sure, that's cool. So we understood how we designed a frame, sorry, a card in Figma. Now we'll understand how to make responsive design. So I'll be converting this laptop design into a mobile design. The mobile design has a width of 375 pixels. So I'll just be creating a frame and make it of width 375. Okay, so now this is a mobile frame, and we will be making this part of the website, sorry, the entire website into a mobile friendly website. The content is less here, so this process will feel easier for a website of this scale, and it's a single page, so you will feel that, oh, this is pretty simple and easy, but you need to make sure you are being pretty careful while making your website responsive. If you're trying to uh if you're trying with the bottom up or a top down approach. You might ask, what is a bottom up and top down approach? Basically, while making your website, designing a responsive website, there are two approaches to do so. One is going from top to the bottom, and the other approach is going from bottom to top. What do I mean by that? So in bottom up approach, you will be designing the mobile version first. So you'll be making this entire thing first. Then you'll be making the tablet version and the desktop, the laptop version and the desktop Excel version. This is supposed to be desktop Excel. My bad, guys. Desktop Excel. And in the counterpart, that is top-down approach, you're going to design the desktop Excel first or the desktop first. Then you'll be moving down to tablet and the mobile. So that's the two approaches which are used for making a responsive website, designing a responsive website. Okay, so let's make this website into responsive. So we'll be doing that just for the mobile version, and you guys can figure out how it's done for tablet. I think it's pretty simple, but if you guys feel it's you don't understand it, I'll try to explain it. So first we need to copy the fill color and add some fill to the frame. So this is a gradient which we created yesterday. How do you create a gradient, you might say? So I'll just remove this fill. So this is a frame, it's an empty frame. You will be adding a fill color here. I just added the fill. Now I will be clicking on the fill button here. I'll be going to linear gradient. A gradient, I'll be selecting the linear gradient, and I'm going to select the first top. Use a color pipette, go at the top of this color, which is going to be a primary color. Then I'm going to click on the second half, and I'm going to select that, color picker again. I'm going to go to the last part of the page, and this is, boom, you have the gradient ready. This is your mobile frame now. Now we want to make this responsive, correct? So if I just copy this, copy and paste here. So now this is the part of the next frame, which is the mobile frame. Now you need to change the width to 375 or whatever the frame you're trying to work on. And I'm using padding here. If you notice, this navbar has a padding of 100 pixels. Why so? Because we decided to have a layout grid of, we decided to have this layout grid while designing our website yesterday. So we just need to follow. It's because it makes a website look a bit cleaner and to make sure that our content aligns properly and it's not blown up everywhere. There are websites which use the entire space of the web page, but as a beginner, I would suggest you to start designing within a certain section of your display, and you could move out and you could try experiment on new things. I'll just hide the grid. And if I go there, I'll just need to reduce the padding, internal padding to 16. Why 16, you would say? How we are using 100 padding over here for this layout grid? We were using how to add a layout grid. This is how you add a layout grid. You go to add a layout grid, select the columns, and we selected a margin of 16 pixels yesterday. So right now, I have changed the padding to 16 pixels and it properly aligns with 16 pixels, if you notice that. Perfect. Now we need to make this section into responsive. We'll be copying that again. Control C, moving here, Control V, and align it to the center, make it align it properly. Again, we're gonna reduce the width to 375. It will just blow away. Align it again, select the image, and you need to click on K and resize this image, scale it down so that it looks better on your home screen. Then we'll be changing the font size. If you notice, this part of the text is having a lot of layers, is hidden behind a lot of layers. I think this layer is not necessary, but anyways. So we will select the Bolo Zuban Kesari, our header 1 sign, and we'll change that to, I think I'll change it to 36. Yeah, we'll change it to 36. We do it 36. This is gonna be 18. 18 feels fine for this. So we have the hero section responsive and ready. Next, we'll select the other section. We'll be copying this, pasting it here, aligning it to the center, making sure it aligns properly with other parts of the page, changing the width 375, 375, aligning it to the center. Ready, the width is already, the padding is already set to 16, so we don't need to worry about that. But the internal padding is set to 84, but yeah, my bad, sorry. So if you notice, the mobile version, we don't have padding or the margin at the end of the screen. So we'll be needing to remove the external padding over here. We'll be making that 0 so that it covers the entire screen as per our design. The internal padding should be 16 because we need to make sure that the content aligns between the layout grids for us. Next, let me just disable that grid so that, okay. Next, we'll be making this part responsive. It's set to hug. If you use fill container, it will just fill the container and it will align properly. If you're using auto layout, this is one, benefit of using auto layout, that you could just use simple shortcuts and your design is gonna look responsive automatically. And this is how Flexbox works as well. It makes your life easier while making a responsive design. So it's highly recommended to use Flexbox. I'll be showing the code to you guys. I've already coded this website and it's ready. We'll be going through the code and I'll be sharing a few tips with you guys on how to do it and all. So we'll be changing this part of the website. If you notice, I have made a decision to change the layout of this card. The entire content is same, but the way I'm representing the card has changed. You notice the way of representing the information has changed. This is horizontal right now, but here it's the data representation is vertical. So we'll be doing that first. If I select a single card and I make it align vertical, and if I make this fill container, it's going to fill the entire container. But if you remember, we haven't changed the width depending on the screen size. It's going to be 3 fill container. We'll be removing the other cards because those are not the design which we want them to be. Delete this. We'll be selecting the inside text column. We're going to make it fill container as well. We're going to select the text inside the text, the other division and make it fill container as well. Now, I made it again. I made a design change here. I've made the buttons fill the entire width instead of being the same width as the desktop. Why would you ask? But sorry, you might ask why. The reason is when you're using a device, you don't have a cursor to be very pinpoint and be very accurate for what you're trying to click on. So when you're designing for mobile, you need to make sure that it's pretty accessible by thumbs because it's going to be on touch screen. So the buttons, if you're trying to design, should be more accessible on a mobile or a smaller screen, and it could be, you know, it could just be visible for your desktop versions. So here, what we are going to do is make this flexbox as fill container. So it's going to fill the entire container. And I will, if you hit enter, if you select this frame, hit enter, it's going to select both the buttons, and I'll just select width and I'll click on fill container as well. So it will just replicate, the fill the entire container that's left. Again, we need to change the font because on a smaller screen, larger fonts don't look that good. So 20 pixels, and this was 16 if I'm not wrong. It's not 16, it's 14, yeah. So let's make that 14. There you go. Now it's 14. The gapping is perfect. It's pretty well balanced. It's spacious. It looks clean. Now, if I duplicate this, increase the screen width a bit, you have a similar design. The footer is it's pretty simple. You just need to copy the footer. It's footer is nothing to be. It's just an add-on down there. Boom. So that's how you make your website responsive. I felt that was pretty hasty, but let's take a review from you guys. Do you guys understand it? Or do you want me to explain it again? Oh. So we're going to go this. Yeah, we're going to go this right away. Introduction the grid part. Can we make sure? Okay, we understood it. Good, good. I code कर लो अब. How the gradient fits into CSS then. I'll be explaining that. Don't worry. Broisty teaching DP. DP मतलब design patterns. Okay. We build this. I can access the recording of his test garage. It's just like Photoshop. Yeah, it's pretty similar to Photoshop. You can do anything. Yeah, I remember like that. Okay, cool. So let's jump to the coding section as you guys are pretty keen into that. So I have the code ready. I'll be showing you guys how I did that. There you go, guys. The website is gonna look something like this on a desktop. The coding is done with all the interactions and everything. I'll be walking you guys through this. Add it out. Have we have you guys started Next.js or are we still in React? React. Oh shit. This is coded in Next.js, so it's pretty bad from my side. But it's pretty front end. There's nothing uh you know not many functional differences in front end part coming to Next.js. So I'll just walk you guys through the code base a bit, and if not, my plan was to just make the website responsive for to this session, and maybe you guys could code it on your own after I walk you guys through how to use Tailwind. What do you guys think? Let's open the chat for a bit and let's see from there. Do you want me to code the entire website right now, or let's just make it responsive? Because I've done the coding part of it. So it's not responsive, as you can see, it's pretty broken. We can make the website responsive by using Tailwind. By animations, batao bas. Let's not designing. Multiple grade, entire website, responsive, code, coding. Yeah, I'll be teaching coding, but if I start to code the entire website, though the code is ready, I think it would be कोड करेंगे, हाँ भाई कोड ही करेंगे, बट पूरा कोड करना है या बस रेस्पॉन्सिव बनाए? दैट्स व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू आस्क. जावास्क्रिप्ट फ्रंट एंड में टाइपस्क्रिप्ट जावास्क्रिप्ट का इतना फर्क नहीं है, सो क्रिएट अगेन. ओके ओके.
I guess
एक
yeah. So the people who are saying about React and JavaScript, uh,
हाँ
one quick suggestion for them. Everything is similar. In React, we create components. Similarly, here there is a card component. So don't worry about that. Just try to learn about how he is styling the things and how he is. See, here is a navbar, hero, content, and footer. So just
या
try to understand how he is designing the thing by component wise. And Keshav, I guess we got the mixed things. So let's explain how you design that card and some few things like navbar and hero section.
yeah, I'll be explaining everything
Yeah.
from React perspective. So guys, basically the only catch of Next.js is that you have some client side and server side things, but I think Kirat Bhaiya will be explaining that better than me. But from a very basic perspective, React and Next.js are pretty much the same. React.js is based on top of React, so it's the same thing. So don't need it's not a biggie. Don't get scared or overwhelmed by it. Just it's same thing. New bar. How did you copy the design from Figma to Go? Oh, I have coded that. I haven't copied anything. So this is everything. I've coded it, everything. So let me walk you through the code base. I don't want to set up the entire code base again. Should I do that? AK, what do you suggest? Should I set up the code base right now and do it?
I guess this class is about design, so
Yeah,
directly
I
step
don't want.
and like
Okay,
explain them how
ठीक है.
to create like from
Responsive.
Figma to how you created, how you thought about the card hero section, and then make it responsive.
Okay, perfect. So I hope that works with you guys. Chalo. So I'll walk you through the code. So I'll open the Notion doc a bit. I mentioned a few good points in there. Front-end development. So while starting the development section, there are a few key points or a few things that you do while starting development process. The key points are, first, you are supposed to be translating the design file into the code. So I will be doing that, and we need to make sure your design is accessible. Accessibility is stressed this much because your design, everyone should be able to use your design in like a similar way. Either the user is colorblind or they might have some other disabilities or whatever the case is, every user must be counted while considered while you're trying to code or develop or basically make anything. That is what is called as a user-centric design, quote unquote. So please make sure your product is accessible to almost all types of users, and there is no biasing of any kind. Next, your website needs to be pretty optimized. Try not to use pretty heavy images or let's say animations, or try to add unnecessary animations and shit. So make sure you're pretty, your website is pretty optimized, it's super fast, etc. And the last thing, making it responsive. You need to have a responsive design in today's age. Back in the day, you could have just made a website for the desktop and you could have left it. But right now, everyone has a phone, has a Mac or a laptop, has a desktop, or they might open your website on a TV. But make sure you consider all of these devices while you're trying to code or design something. And I want to stress this part. Please make your websites responsive. I have seen a lot of you guys have guys portfolios and they are not responsive. not everyone opens your website on a desktop or on a phone. They might open it on a website, the website on a desktop or on a phone. So you need to be ready, and you need your portfolio or your website to be presentable, no matter what the device is, no matter how the user is, no matter who the user is. And I hope that explains um uh, why I'm stressing these points so much. And so let's start with translating the mockups. What is a mockup, you might ask? A mockup is a design file, to be simple. So these all are mockups. Done. Then you need to so while designing your front end, you need to have your design ready. I need to have all the values such as font sizes, color codes, font type, font style, typography, everything you need to be have handy. So make sure you have a software like Figma or something. And if you are being connected with a designer, ask them to share the required resources you might need for before coding. So a few checklist to do before starting your front end development code bases. You need to have your color codes ready. You need to have your font ready, font styles, and you know animations or interactions. Whatever you're trying to do, you need to have a basic idea or a rough sketch of how you're going to do it. And the Figma file or the design, it's supposed to be just a reference, and it's supposed to be helpful for you as a reference. And you don't it's good to be pixel perfect, but while developing there are some things that uh, are available that you can design but you cannot develop that. And it's okay to skip those parts and have a alternative for the same. I haven't mentioned such example here, but usually designers go ham with adding a lot of effects or a lot of overlays on top of the design. But if you try to do such things while developing developing, it might beat up your performance a lot, and it will be creating a very bad user experience. Let's say your user has a very bad internet connection and they want to load up your website pretty quick, but your website needs to load a lot of overlays on top of the website, on top of your design, on top of your web page, and that's gonna be take a lot of time. And the user will be facing a lot of issues while doing so. So the main point here is your design file should be a reference point for your development or your web UI that you're trying to code. So let's start with the code base. This is like a basic uh, React file structure. I hope React looks the same. This is a Next.js file structure, but it's quite similar. You guys have, I think there's a app page, app and index in React.js, and here you have a page which is similar to app.js. And here you'll be having all your components. That is, we have a navbar component, we have a hero component, we have the content component, and we have a footer. If you notice, I've wrapped those inside the main tag. What is a main tag? It's, there are different types of semantic tags in HTML, which help your SEO, that is search engine optimization, and other, screen readers, etc., to understand the hierarchy in your page. So, like, please start using proper semantic tags. Don't use unnecessary tags and reuse something. And I've seen people use div while making a button. If you are trying to make a button, please use a button tag. You have a button tag available in HTML. So please do that. Use a button tag. Or if you're trying to create a section, you also have a section HTML tag. If you notice here, there's a section here, H2, H1, etc. I think you guys already know what is H1, what is H2. And so I won't be repeating all of that, but I'll be just showing you how I use Tailwind. Uh, let's do a poll. How many of you guys know a Tailwind? And if you don't, just click on no. Yes or no should do. If you know Tailwind, click on yes. If you don't, click on no. Let's do a poll again. Yes, if you know Tailwind, no, if you don't. Okay, so let's do, I'll just walk you through what Tailwind is because a lot of you guys don't know what Tailwind is. So if you guys recall, in CSS, you use classes to style something, style an element. So what Tailwind does for you is it has a predefined set of classes. So if you notice here, let's go to the docs and what they are. Let's just do, I don't know, text size. Okay. So if you know, I just said that if you're using vanilla CSS, you will be having to create new classes for each of the element and ID or etc. There are multiple ways of adding CSS. So where CSS becomes handy is it has a predefined set of classes. So if you notice there is text XS or there's text base, text LG, which has a value of font size 1.25 rem and a line height of 1.75 rem. This is a predefined class and it just uh, it's like a library. It has all these sets of classes predefined, and you just need to install Tailwind into your project, and you will be having all these classes pre-installed into your project, and you just need to use this particular class name for your attribute or the tag, and whom you'll be having the changes being done on the go. So that's the gist of Tailwind. I hope that sums it up, or do you want me to be a bit more, in depth with Tailwind? These are like a few examples. This is a text class, then you have colors, this is float, this is display, type of display block, display inline. I hope that sums it up. It's pretty simple. Basically, Tailwind provides you with sets of predefined classes, which you can use into your code base, and it makes your life a lot easier compared to creating new classes for each type of element that you're trying to do. So let's start with our design. So I'll add this here. Cool. So this is our home page, right? So first we have the nav bar, then we have our hero page, then we have our content page, and then we have our hero footer section. This is our footer, this is our nav bar, hero, and content. So let's start with nav bar. Where you go to nav bar, I'll go close that side of this section. See, yeah. Okay, so let's start with how I started to design. So if you notice, I've used max width of 7 Excel and everything. It's predefined values in Tailwind. You see here, these are a set of predefined values in Tailwind. It will provide you with. So basically, I have used 7 Excel, right? It's gonna be 1280 pixels, which is similar to what we are using in our design. The internal width, it's gonna be 1280 pixels. So this is supposed to be 1280. If you closer to 1280, but it's not exactly one. It's closer to 1280. Then the next class I used here is MX Auto. That's gonna make the. I'll just I'll try to remove this, and you guys can have a better understanding of how it's gonna look. If you notice, if I remove the max width of 7 Excel, it's gonna the Bimal has gone onto the extreme left of the page. And if I remove that, it's gonna be on the extreme left of the page, but it looks good, but it's not how our design is supposed to be. So I will add that back. Now it's centered and it has gap at the edges. And next we have MX Auto. It's gonna align the entire thing at the center, because if you don't add MX Auto, it's gonna blow up. Then I added a bit of padding, internal padding, rect element, because so if you notice, is that Yeah, MX is margin X. Yeah, MX means margin X. Yeah, thanks for that. So PY means padding Y and PX means padding X. Justify between is I have an extension installed which will show you what exactly the class means. So justify between, it will justify your content and add the value as space between. Item center will align your items to center. Flex is gonna make add display flex to your. It's gonna provide display flex. MX auto, margin left auto, margin right auto. Then we have PY. It's gonna be have the Y axis of padding, X axis of padding, etc. Then if you notice, there's text to Excel, which is for Bimal, the logo kind of thing we are using. So text to Excel, it's gonna have font size of 1.5 RAM, which converts down 24 pixels. What is RAM? It's a relative term. It's gonna take values from the parent. So if I go search for RAM HTML, basically RAM is like a relative term, relative unit for assigning a font. It's gonna take the value of the parent container. See the root element. Rem, the relative to font size of the root element. The root element is gonna be the HTML body tag, HTML tag, and it's gonna calculate the font size based on that. So yeah. Next, we have provided with a link. A link tag is nothing but a tag in Next.js. Anchor tag. So, but in Next.js, we use something called as a link tag. You can learn that later. But what a link does is it's similar to what a tag, anchor tag does in HTML or React. So link is that we have href of slash, which it's gonna take us back to the home page, which is just this page simply. And we have text to Excel. We have added font extra bold, which is gonna increase the font weight to 800 pixels. We have text as orange, tracking lighter. Tracking lighter is a is a CSS class, tailwind class, which is gonna add letter spacing. If you remember letter spacing is called as tracking. So that's why it's tracking lighter here. I repeat again, if you go through the notes, everything should be pretty simple to understand. There you have typography jargon tracking over there. Pretty simple. Then we go back to the navbar. Then if you notice, I have wrapped the entire navbar thing inside a nav element. Nav element is used to represent navigation elements inside your web page. It could be anything. It could be a sidebar. Sidebar has a different sidebar aside component, but you can learn about that later on. But you use nav for navigation sections of your design of your web page. Then I have used the nav bar here. Then I use a div to group these two buttons, that is a link, which is this part, and a button, which is this. So if you notice, if I hover on top of either of this, there is a slight tactile feedback which you're getting. And this plays a very vital role in front-end development because you are understanding that, okay, this is something that I can interact with. And this is where interactive animations come in place. I think someone mentioned about animations today, but I think that would be a lot to understand because a lot of you guys need to understand basics a bit. Frame of motion and everything. We could do another class about that because it's gonna be pretty overwhelming. Right now, you could just use simple hover animations from CSS. You can do pretty good animations with CSS. So there's login and products. It has a hover effect. So let me show you how I added the hover effect here. So if you notice, there is an hover text orange. This class, what it does is it adds a hover effect on top of your link. So right now, by default, the color of your text is supposed to be text orange 950. It's another CSS class. It's gonna have this color. Sorry, this color as a variable, and it's something with say Tailwind. Tailwind provides you colors as a color palette, which we have just gotten to know here. Color styles, right? This entire thing is available to you in Tailwind CSS. Those who skip CSS, yeah. So this is where this is the exact palette which Tailwind will be providing you uh in their set of classes. If you go to Tailwind and if you check for colors, so these are the set of color palettes that Tailwind provides you by default. And I would say these are a lot, and these should be enough. But if you're trying to achieve some unique look, you're most welcome to do it. But I've used orange over there because it was pretty similar to the color palette we are trying to use, and I didn't want to, be much make the code a bit confusing for you guys. So yeah, I've just used orange, and the way I've used it is I've added text, orange, and 950. What it does is it's gonna assign this particular class, that is color, and this hex code to your text file, to your text tag. So right now this link, as I will repeat again, link refers to an anchor tag, but in Next.js you use link instead of anchor. So right now we are styling the anchor tag. It's having a color of, I don't know, a darker shade of orange 950. Then we are providing font medium. Font weight is 500. Tracking is set to tight, which is around minus 0.525 m. You just need to play around with this and you will have a better understanding. You guys could set up a local code base with Tailwind CSS and React. It's pretty simple to initiate. You can just go to the documentation. You have a proper implementation on how you can set up Tailwind in your project. I would suggest using Tailwind. It's pretty cool and everything. Yeah. Then flex. I would style the button as well. I've added transition. I basically use transition all property for all of my transitions. It makes sure to make sure that it's smoother in all the sections. There are other options such as transition color, transition size, transition, check that. Yeah, all color, shadow, opacity, transform, but I prefer using transition all so that my animations are smoother in all the sections. So there's that. So that's for navigation part done. And let's move to the hero section. Let's do a quick poll. I feel like we are going pretty fast and I feel a bit hesitant. Do you understand? Okay, okay. You guys understand? It's simple stuff, right? Yeah. Cool. Shall we open the chat for a moment? I think I just want to take a quick feedback. Just for a second. A minute. No spams, please. Yeah. Just send your text once and I'll take a water break while you guys type something. समझ कुछ नहीं आया पर सुन के अच्छा लगा. Okay, transition all, VS for themes. Can you explain how to make an element with position property responsive? Code, what is transition and duration? Okay. What is your VS Code theme? Okay, I'm using Cursor, by the way. It's not VS Code. Explain flexbox and grid difference. Yeah, I'll be doing that in a bit. How to handle framer motion animations across different devices. Framer motion, I don't want to introduce that to you guys this quick because it's like a pretty advanced topic. And yeah, it's pretty advanced. So don't do that. Okay, I'll try to do offline video for Framer. You won't be learning Framer. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do Framer today. Framer is pretty advanced topic, and most of you guys are not familiar with the basics of CSS. So let's keep it pretty basic. We'll be having a doubt session at the end of today's session as well. We'll be wrapping this up in 15 minutes and we'll do a 30-minute doubt session and we could wrap it up after that. Understood. कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा. Okay, VS for themes. Good, yeah. So we are getting a pretty mixed response. Did these don't change for upcoming year also? Huh? What do you mean by that?
I guess I'm opening the chat again. Please
Okay.
let us know ki what part you are not understanding, because most of people are able to understand. Just let us know, then we can read
Ah,
that, or like we can point you the perfect resource.
yeah. Thanks again. Need good resource for navbar component and also give that response. Bro, please keep absolute basics to mid hard. Bhai, but most of them are not understanding. Is easy to make responsive website easy to do. Yeah, absolutely. Using Tailwind makes it a lot easier to make your website responsive. I'll do that and I'll show you how why is it so easier. You're not able to follow along, just watching his screen. Some tips for basically using Tailwind would be much helpful. Teach user experience, how to create navbar, easy, good, pro prescript, repetitive, repetitive. These don't change for upcoming year. Also, like how we design websites. Yeah, I think uh that's a good question he mentioned. I would say Tailwind for now it's pretty future proof. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere in the coming future. It so you're pretty settled for the next 5 years, I would say. So and right now we are this is how we are using designing websites by coding. But if you are trying to do a no code thing, strive on taking your UX classes. Yes. Okay, so if you're trying to if you don't want to code your website, you could use tools such as Framer or Webflow. Those would be pretty simple to use. Okay, so you guys wanted to know how I created an app bar component, right? I think it's done similarly in React. I just created a function with the name of navbar and it exported that. The entire code is wrapped inside this function, inside a written part of this function, and I have imported the same element in this section of the function page. This the app that is the page.tsx. It's like the app.js file of your in your React code base, and this is where you have all your components. And I usually don't code like this, but I have made it simpler for you guys to understand. Uh, I have segregated the entire code to different sections, navbar, hero, and everything. And let's go for hero. And here you'll be having a better context with flex, box, and shit. So if you notice, I am using flex almost everywhere. I'm using flex here, I'm using flex here, I'm using flex everywhere. So you might ask, why am I overusing flex? I'm not overusing. Flex keeps your content tightly packed together and it keeps it responsive. Uh, it just auto aligns stuff for you by default. Yeah. So it's a good practice to use flex. Please use flex. You can also use grid if you are into that, but flex and grid, these are like huge lifesavers, and these help you in creating your websites more responsively, more accessible and shit. So using flex is a really good habit. It helps you a lot while making responsive design. So there's that. If you notice the image component here, it's similar to image in HTML. So in IMG in HTML, so don't get overwhelmed. It's the same. You could use image, but it will show an error in Next.js. So that's as simple as that. I've added an alt text. Oh yeah, this is a good point to mention here. Please make sure you add an alt attribute for your images when you're coding. This helps the screen readers to understand what the image is for users with visual disabilities, and that's like a pretty good cool thing to have, and it makes the life of a screen reader easier and makes your website more responsive. So we move on from there. Hero section is pretty simple. I hope you guys understand that. there was a doubt, I guess, regarding something. What's that? Mhm. Yeah, responsive part is I'm gonna do that right now. And won't change design component, please keep absolute basics. Okay, I think I explained how to create an app bar. Some tips. Hmm. I know it's pretty scuffed because I haven't prepared. Like I have coded that in next year, so it's pretty hard for you guys to understand because next hasn't been started for you. But think of it like basic HTML and see it from a perspective as this vanilla HTML and CSS rather than Next.js or React.js, and that would make it simpler. So I'm sorry from my part, but it's pretty. I think I haven't used anything specific to Next.js or React.js. It's pretty much basic HTML and CSS. Instead of using vanilla CSS, I'm using Tailwind because Tailwind is a good thing to implement in your design, and I think everyone recommends you to use Tailwind. So start using Tailwind. It's pretty simple once you start using it. I'll be helping you guys in the doubt session once we get to there. So let's break down the hero section bit. So in a hero section, we have our text here, then we have the image. It's pretty simple, right? Then if I go into inspect element and I show you, we have a bit of padding at the top, the text has padding, we have the image down here, we have margin at the end of the page. Now, if I show you the code, we are using flex call, flex and flex call. So if you notice, there are slightly purple lines in the section of the code, and this represents flex to you. So this everything, you notice there's flex here, flex here, flex here. And if you go select that, it will show you which part is in the flex box. Flex makes your life a lot easier. Start using flex. The difference between flex and grid uh, is not pretty elastic. Grid is like pretty constrained. It makes your content a bit constrained. But with flex, you have a lot of control over how you want your design to look like. And grid is used specifically for uh, aligning cards. You can also use flex to align cards, but grid is used because it assigns you proper spacing and proper alignment of those cards if you're using grid. So that's the difference between grid and flex. Not wrong. Then if you notice the code base right now, the font, it's the same thing repeating. You are using the same set of classes which we used in the navbar element. The more you hit, sooner you dies. This is the text we are here. I'm using text XL here. Then we got text 6 XL. And I'm adding a padding of 2 rem at the top. The padding you notice here, 2 rem is this part of the padding. So it's 2 rem at the top. Then let's move. I hope, I don't know, I'm feeling a bit that you guys aren't understanding today's class. Let's do a poll again. I think this is pretty basic. I don't think there's a lot to explain here. That's why I'm trying to skip and move to the doubt session a bit. Do you guys understand? Yeah, a lot of you understand. Okay, no increase. Yeah, I think this is like a pretty basic stuff, but let's do responsive design. And I could, because there is something to do in responsive part, and I think that could be pretty interactive as well. So I think the basics are understood here. And if you jump into responsive bit, that would be more uh, interactive because I'll be doing something and you guys could see that, and I could teach you guys along the way. So let's see how to make your website responsive. If you notice, because I'm using Flex, our website is right now is almost responsive for tablets and any laptop or a desktop. So we don't need to change much for larger desktops and tablets. If I go to inspect element, and I click on this icon here, it helps you in increase font size. Acha, yeah, cursor. Okay. Do that. Okay. So if you notice, it's right now at 1440 pixels, which is the design uh width we chose for a laptop. It's at 1440p. And if I make it a bit larger, which is like a larger laptop, then it's still responsive. It looks good. It looks as we intended to look. Then if I shrink it down a bit, 4K, which is also around 16:9 ratio, and it looks cool. And if I go down to laptop, it still looks good, still looks compact, everything looks fine, nothing has broken down yet. If you go down to tablet, the text seems a bit off, the alignment is off, and the text seems a bit bigger compared to our design. So we'll make that change. Next, if I go down to mobile, it just breaks down. And this just creates a bad experience. And also it's not in the layout which we decided for our mobile. So for a mobile, it's supposed to look something like this, but in the code, it looks a lot different. So we'll be changing that. And yeah, 375 pixels. So we'll be starting from mobile, or let's do from tablet and then go to mobile. So right now, what we need to change in the tablet version is we need to change the text size of a hero header and the text size in this section of our page, content page. So I'll go to cursor, I'll pin it down here, and I'll go to the I think navbar is fine. Navbar doesn't need to be changed anything. And if I go to hero section, and we need to change the Bolo Zuban Kesari. You find Bolo Zuban Kesari, and if you notice text 6XL, and in our design files for tablets we are using 64 pixel, so that's good. Tablets we are 64 pixel. The thing we need to change 24, this is good. Then the image, I think tablet looks fine. The text is fine for tablet. We just need to cross check with our design and tablets. When that's good. The problem here lies with the alignment problem. Okay. Yeah. So we need to change the alignment of this text. So the hero section looks fine as per our design. We just referred to our design over here. And our website looks fine if we compare to our designs. So if you notice, this is how our tablet design looks like, and this is what I've coded, and it looks fine. So we don't need to change anything in regards of tablet. Next, we will move to the content section, and there is a lot that could be changed for content section. It just looks disastrous here. The text is not properly aligned. There's quite a bit of spacing is bad. We notice that. Yeah, let's go to the code base and we'll change that. So hero, we don't need to change anything. We move to content, and we just need to add class here. That's text center. If you add text center, and if I save that, the text is aligned properly. It's pretty simple. We have matched our design, and I think we could reduce this text width a bit, and it would look cleaner compared to other parts. So I do max width of SM, and it will look something like this. So what did this max width do is, it will add a max width property as 384 pixels. So the width here would be 384 pixels. Pretty understandable, pretty simple. And I think that looks awkward. We need 2 lines, so I will increase that to MD. So there are like short forms. SM is small, XS is extra small, MD is medium, LG is large, XL extra large, 2XL, 3XL, and it goes on till 6XL in tailwind. If you go through the documentation, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. And let's do it LG, and we'll leave it there. That looks fine, I guess. And the other parts of the design also look pretty cool. It's Bimali Lychee is 20 pixels, and it's 24 here. So yeah, now we need to change the text inside our card. So I'll go to the card component, and I will look at the text size for the Bimal Ilaichi part, the header of our card. So right now it's set at 24 pixels, but we need to change it to 20 pixels. So I will add it as MD, which stands for medium device sizes. So one of you guys asked, how does using Tailwind make it easier to make responsive websites? Of course it does. To make your website responsive, you just need to add this class, MD, and text Excel to make it responsive. So by default, it's gonna be stay at 2 Excel, but okay, I got it wrong here. So this is for larger displays. Text Excel, 2 Excel is supposed to be for larger displays, right? So it's 24 pixel for desktop and above. So we'll add a class of LG. LG is for text, displays above 1024 pixel minimum width. So basically this class gets added to this particular component. This is how easier it gets with Tailwind. So that's why I'm trying to recommend you guys to use Tailwind. This just a single line of text, class, and your device is, your design is responsive right now. Your website is responsive. I've saved it. The text size has changed, and cursor is my AI is suggesting me shit. And for mobile, will on the go as well change it for mobile, but for mobile it's still using 20 pixels, so I don't want it to be 20, less than 18. So I'll leave that to be at Excel. So if I remove this, by default, it's gonna be at 20 pixels. But once the minimum width reaches at 1024 pixel, it's gonna get assigned the value of 24 pixel for the font size. So that's how Tailwind works. You just need to add LG, XL, 2XL, MD, SM, or XS in front of your class and continued by separated by a semicolon, and that's gonna make your that's gonna add a responsiveness to your page. That's as simple as that. That's how Tailwind helps you in making your design responsive. So I'll change the text size. Now it looks smaller compared to the previous one. The text inside is also supposed to be smaller. Yeah. If I go down and I change, right now we are at text 18 pixels. We just want text to be 18 pixel for desktop. So I'll add LG text LG, which will assign a value of 18 pixel to the font size when the minimum width reaches 1024 pixels. We go there. Right now I think it will change. Yeah, if you notice, there's a slight change in the design. As the width increases, basically it becomes responsive, guys. It's pretty simple. It's CSS. I hope it's simple for you guys to understand. Then the button sizes are perfect. So I think tablet is responsive now. So your website is now responsive for both tablets and laptop and desktop and above. Next, let's move to mobile. This is where it gets exciting, and because there's a lot to be done, we'll just start with it. So let's go back to the hero section. Is that one? No, we'll fix that. So let's go to the hero section. And if you notice, the text is quite large here, and we want to reduce the text size. And I'll just simply add LG in front of text 6XL, which sets your text to 60 pixels. We don't want it to be 60 pixels. We want it to be 36 pixels. 36 pixel, I guess it converts down to text 3XL. It's 30 pixels, so let's do 4XL. It comes down to 36 pixels. And for mobiles and tablets, it's gonna be 36 pixel, and for desktops, it's gonna be at 60 pixels. Yes. Okay, 64 for tablets as well. So yeah, we're gonna change it here. We need to be at MD. So for tablets and above, the text is gonna be 60 pixels, and for for mobiles and for anything below tablets, it's gonna be 36 pixels. So we have changed the size there, and next we're gonna change the size for the text below. So for tablet and above, it's gonna be text Excel, and below it's gonna be text LG. Change that, it's changes there. Then the image size, we need to increase that image size a bit. It's set at 60% of the bit. We will do it 60, so the image increases a bit, or we could do it 80. That will increase that a bit more. Then, boom, the hero section is done. This is a slight problem. It's supposed to be right. Yeah. There's that. We have fixed the hero section. We'll now move to the content part. The content part, there's a lot to be done, and I'll walk you guys through what we're gonna do here. If you notice, let's check out on the parts which are broken. Basically, the cards are broken, so we'll fix the cards first, and then we'll move to the other section of the content parts. So let's go to cards. Now, here we will discuss on how we make the card align vertically rather than it being horizontal right now. So if you notice, I've wrapped my card inside a div element here. Inside that, we have an image. This is the image. Then we have the other half of the page, other half of the card, that's the content part. And those are wrapped inside a flex element. So right now, if you notice, we have a flex, but I want that to be in flex call. What does flex call do? Flex call will make your items align vertically as a column. And by default, flex is set to be aligned at flex row, which is the default one. But we don't want it to be flex row. We want it to be flex call by default. And we need to assign a value of flex row only when it reaches tablet width. So if you use this, three set of words in your design code or anything, while you're trying to code any part of your component, I think it's gonna make it responsive already. I basically use flex and gap for in every single thing which I'm trying to code, be it production level or anything. So try to use flex call, and gap. What gap does it? It adds gap between the cards. So if you notice, there's a bit of gap in here. So the gap is between the image and the content. If I reduce that to, let's say, 4 pixels, it reduces there. 12 was fine. We can do 12 because it was spacious and looking good. Then everything looks fine. It's done. It's responsive again. It's pretty simple. So that's how it works. Yeah, I just got into a bug here. If you notice, we changed the width size to 80%, and now Ajay Devgan looks massive. We don't want that. So if I go back to hero section and I change this, and I add a new class here, which goes MD with 50, which is gonna make the image smaller, which it used to be for. Yeah. It's gonna revert that back to how it used to look before. So if I open this, I try to make changes. It just wants it now. And it's pretty much done. Let's do a poll. Feel like I fucked it up at the end. Let's go. Let's do a poll. Do you understand? Yes, yes, yes. No. Perfect. Okay. ठीक है फिर. Let's do a doubt session. And maybe I'll talk about interactions a bit, and we could do a doubt session. Let me just wrap it up in 5 minutes. Let me go to the slides and let's talk about web interactions a bit. What do you mean by web interaction? Interaction is like a feedback from your website to the user while they are navigating through your website, and it adds a good experience to your website. It makes your website feel lively. It adds life to your website, and it's just it's a great user experience. It provides feedback, small feedbacks to your user, and the user feels involved. It could be anything, like changing the color of the button, like we are changing the color of a button here. Like I'm just hovering on top of it, it's changing the color of the button. I'm hovering top of the products link, it's in the color of the products thing. Similar here, it's, these small interactions, small hover effects, these add on to becoming a larger, these helps on to a larger thing. And for better examples of interactions, if I go to, app.100xrefs.com, there's a slide interaction which I designed here. If you notice, if I hover on top of it, this part of the phone, like this part of the CTA, it just wobbles a bit. So, and if you notice the animation, the mobile phone, it's hovering a bit. This took like a lot of time to design. Nobody even, I don't think most of you guys even noticed this, but if someone does notice it, it adds on to a lot of value. You would be like, whoa, it will, catch your eye for a bit, and you will be spending some time here, and that would be something of an awe moment for you. So interactions like this do matter a lot. There's a button hover effect here. So try to implement smaller interactions in your website. It could be anything. It could be scroll-based animation, loading, loading spinners. These, increase the level of interactivity between your user and your website. And that does matter a lot. And that is my, vital part of a user-centric design. And it just, improves the user experience a lot. So these are, a few types of web interactions. This is like a very vast topic. If you are interested in that, please do check out these two videos. These two guys do a lot of videos regarding animations. So the guys who are talking about animations, you could visit these guys. This is like a good resource. They teach you how to do complex animations. I have followed them. These are really good. There are Framer tutorials, Framer motion tutorials, GSAP tutorials, and 3JS tutorials. Just have a look at it. These are great. And yeah, I hope these are helpful for you guys. Feedbacks, tactile feedback. Okay, what you might say, Keshav, what do you mean by tactile? Tactile is something, it gives like a sense of touch, like you're trying to feel something in your phone. If you have like a good quality phone, you might have a haptic feedback, good haptic feedbacks on your phone, and you get a slight vibration when you're trying to type on your phone, or you're trying to increase your volume or something like that. These kind of small interactive animations or interactive feedbacks add on to a larger set of user experience, and these are like quite helpful when you're trying to build a good product, and these help a lot. And I would suggest you guys to have some interactions in your website. Do use some of the resources I have mentioned. There's this website reverseui.craft, and here these guys basically reverse engineer all sorts of animations, and this is like a pretty cool website. I came across this like quite recently, and you could cross components, and yeah, you could go from there. Next, the last section, which is pretty good to read, is it's pretty small. Just have a look at it. It basically talks about branding and why branding is important if you're trying to build an app. It's like it provides an identity for your application, and make sure you follow the branding guidelines properly when you're trying to create a large scale or like a production level app. There you basically, the product owners, the CEOs, they hire designers like me, and they tell us to create a branding guideline, a documentation page, branding guidelines. If you search for branding guidelines, there you go, branding style guidelines. This is a website. You can find a lot of branding guidelines here. Basically, it's like a set of documentation. You can find various types of branding guidelines, and basically it talks about how one should use your logo, your text, your images, on their website, or if they want to showcase your things. And it helps a lot when you're trying to build a bigger brand, and that's really helpful. Then I hope that was it, and we could go on for a doubt session for the rest of the class. I do know the class went a bit weird today because, yeah, feeling quite sick, and I think it could have been gone better, but let's see how you guys respond, and let's do a doubt session real quick. Slides will close. So let's do doubt session. I think this should be fun. Can we have the code? Yeah, I will be sharing the GitHub with you guys. Yeah, the class is over, Atan, and this is gonna be simple doubt session with you guys. Just want to interact, and let's see if you guys want me to be back again for with some framework tutorials. I'll be well prepared for that time. Today was a bit scuffed up. I think if Kiran Bhaiya would join us right now, that would be cool. Yeah, the class is over. So let's start from the top. Getting the chat here. I'll be sharing the code with you guys. I'll be sharing that in the GitHub, sorry, in the Discord, or I'll be adding that at the end of this slides, and we'll go from there. I think there are too many animations mistakes here. Please review this. Nintendo Reimagined. Okay, pretty cool website. But what does it do? I mean, I see you have used a lot of hover effect and cursor animations here, but I don't see a use case for this. Is it a game? I don't know what does, but cool animations. What's that? How do you code professionally? Okay, so code professionally, you need to be, I don't know how to explain this, but everyone does it differently. To be frank, Moksh, like people do a lot. There's a lot of way to do, and just do however you feel like, and basically your code should be understandable by a set of by your teammates, and as much like as long as you guys can, as long as your teammates can understand your code, that's pretty simple. That's pretty professional. Can you walk through the 100x mobile animation? Okay, okay, that's a pretty cool question. I'll do this. So if you notice, this is, and if you guys pay attention here, I'm not using framer in any section of this thing except for the hover part. I'm not using framer motion a lot. Only this particular hovering effect, that's the only part I am using framer motion. So this, the cursor thing, it's happening with this particular line of code. If I go down, if I open this up, basically I have added a group CSS variable on top of this entire div, and I have made such that this mobile part, it's gonna hover every time I hover on any part of this group element. So I'll show you guys with the Pimble thing which we are doing. I'll try to animate this part of our card. If I go to card, and I will add a group class here. And if I go to the image and I make, see, my cursor is already happening now. Group, hover, and translate by 10 pixels. Let's do it minus translate. It's gonna make minus translate 10 pixels, or let's do it 1 for simplicity. Minus translate y1, transition all, duration set at 300 milliseconds. And if I save it, and if I go here and I try to hover on any part of this pay, like card component, you can see a very slight animation, which adds a bit of interactivity to the card. I hope that's helpful. Can we have a poll if you guys understood that, or I could try have another go at it? Yeah, can we have a poll ki like group वाला ही समझ आया है हमें? Font size do companies use Framer motion? Yes, companies do use Framer. Like recently, it's getting a lot of fire, and people are using it. I have an element with class name absolute. Okay, cool. I have an element with class name absolute. How do I make it responsive and tell me? The thing with absolute is it's pretty hard to play with absolute. You just need to know how you're using it. You in simple terms, you could just reduce the width of it. If you want an element to look how it is, what absolute does it shows the element or the object which you're trying, which has an absolute value, uh how it is. It doesn't make reduce the size a bit or anything. It shows the object how it you want it to be, like absolute value. It shows how it is. It won't add any extra effects on top of it. So if you're trying to use absolute, you need to add some extra effects on top of it if you want to try, if you're trying to make it responsive. And we okay, I'll try to make more Q&A. Chat, hold on, Wapis. Let's have a chat. There are less than 200 people left, so I think we can have a chat. आप ही बात करो भैया. You're also good at UI UX. Let's have a chat and share our topics, share our resources.
ब्रो नहीं बताना था.
कहते हैं ना, let's have a like a small 10-minute talk. Let's see the topics, and मुझे भी सीखना है. I haven't see guys. Also, I just want to mention, I'm also learning. I'm not a UI UX expert or anything. I also learn. I'm trying to share what my knowledge is, and I'm here to learn. If you guys have something like good resources, please do share, and we'll start from there. आप भी बताओ ना भैया कुछ. Let's you can answer one of these questions.
Sure.
आप भी पिक करो, बात करते हैं.
So in the Q&As also, I was like getting the question like how did you build this? Like
Mhm.
what is MX? What is inline flex and all these things. So my basic suggestion to you guys is try to do one thing at a time. For example, if you scroll up Keshav for a while, there is a navbar there, and in the navbar, you can see there are three things. First is our logo, and second is like product, and third is that our button.
This section.
So try to design that thing, and then we think about the next topic, which is hero section, and then we have the features or product section, and like that. So try to break things step by step, and then we can try to do the things. And suppose I am designing right now the navbar. So I first I added the logo, then I added that product thing, and then I coded that login button. Now I wanted to make it fixed width, which is might be I guess 7 XL na, for the wider screen. So when I make like created that width, I need to make it center aligned so that it will look like our design. So then I use margin X auto, which do like on the horizontal axis like x-axis, it align that automatically. So equal space, equal margin from both sides. That's done, and then move to the next topic. Like now, let's design the hero section, right, Keshav?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's like pretty much what I would say. The reason the class went bit slow today, guys, is because I've been feeling a bit off, and I'm kind of sick. So I hope you don't mind. We could have an offline class, another class in the future, and I could properly explain you guys from there. So yeah, when you're trying to code from your design, when you're trying to translate your design into code, make sure you're designing it in small parts and bits and pieces. So Tailwind is like pretty new to you guys. I totally understand it. Go through documentation. It's pretty simple to, to make you understand like a 5-year-old. It's just a set of predefined classes. It's just a set of predefined classes. So you don't need a lot of brain to understand it. It's similar to CSS. It's like writing CSS, but it's pretty simple, and it's good in a set of team and collaborating with people, because sometimes people tend to have different types of names for CSS classes, and that just makes it pretty weird. And if you're using Tailwind, everyone will know the exact name of the class. And of course, you can also create custom classes while using Tailwind. There are ways to do that, and it's pretty good in a teamwork environment. In a production level apps, it's good to have a common class names and everything. So there's that. Try to try going through the Tailwind CSS documentation, and you guys will have a better understanding on how to use Tailwind and everything. Please give introduction to wireframes and apply web interactions in Figma and transitions. Okay, so you can apply web interactions and Figma and transitions, but uh I don't know how to say that, but it's if it's good to learn that if you're trying to get into designing work. But if you want to stick with web development, or developing part of the journey, I think just creating a rough web design, it's more than enough. You can add the web interactions while you're coding it. That's how I do it. But if you are trying to present your design to some of your clients, or let's say you're a freelancer and you're trying to design something and you want to present that to your client, then you can try uh adding web interactions and animations in your website, Figma. So if I do go here, if you go to prototype, let's talk about the button here, right? If I go to prototype, and there is a tab for interactions. If I click on interactions, and there's a trigger that is on click, on drag, while hovering. If I go on while hovering, you can change the state or open an overlay. There are just various types of stuff you can do. And yeah, it's pretty simple to understand. There's a lot of um tutorials on YouTube. You could just go from there. Is the class done or Harkiya is going to? Harkiya, I don't think Kiran Bhaiya is going to join. I think he is busy with another call. Uh, Done. Deal done for another class. Okay, you guys want me for another class. Can you share that mobile responsive hack once again? That flex call. Sure, man. So basically, this hack is gonna only work when you're having like a pretty you're having a design which is represented in column form. What do you mean by column form? Column form is a design which is vertical. So if your design is something like this, parts of your design has something like this. So this is for mobile, and flex call helps you in achieving this design. Okay. And if you use flex row, this is how your design will look. It will just align the items in a horizontal manner. So this is how the items will be aligned. If you're using flex row, this is flex row, this is flex call. And if you want to make it responsive, you just need to add a media query. How do you add a media query in Tailwind is you just throw in MD, LG, SM, depending on the width you're trying to work with in front of the class, and you can go from there. So this is a simple hack which I use to make uh, my websites responsive. Please give introduction. Okay. Are there no code tools for Figma to Tailwind? I mean, there are a lot of plugins. If you go on Figma, right click here, plugins, you could just manage search and convert HTML to Tailwind, design to Figma to Tailwind. There are a lot of plugins in here. So if you open this, it will just convert everything into the Tailwind classes, and you can use that. Do companies use React? Yeah, they do. React, I think, yeah, a lot of companies use React. Most of them are switching to Next.js, or there's recently a new thing that came around the corner. It's called Remix or something.
Yeah,
Bytes slash Remix line. It's called Remix, right?
it's remix.
ChatGPT. Yeah, and that's coming into. Okay,
And
so
I got similar questions like this. Figma is used by companies, React is using by company. The thing is, now in the today's class, we are teaching you something. Try to focus on that thing because that is useful. Not just that tool or that particular technology. That concept is very useful, like building the component based UI, or like the UI UX principles, Huygens principles and all
exactly.
the things. That is very important. And the questions here, few questions here are this. I guess that is because you guys don't have CS practice for CSS, Flexbox, and all these things. Even though, for example, if
Mhm.
Tailwind it's new for you, right? So, but if
Yeah, I think Tailwind is new for a lot of these guys.
yeah, all of them, we haven't taught them. But if I was at your
Mhm.
situation, I am trying to just learn the things, observe things. Okay, Tailwind is new, I don't know, but the class things are looking similar. MX2 means margin X, MY means margin horizontal, vertically. So we are trying to try to connect the dots. That's my point.
Yeah, that's a great point, AK. I would say the same. Focus on what's being taught. That's a fair question. I'm not saying that's a bad question. And yes, companies do use Figma. Figma, it's like a collaborative tool. It helps in sharing your design with your teammates in the team, and it's really good. There are multiple alternatives to Figma. You have Sketch for Mac OS, Figma. People do use Adobe XD. People still use Adobe XD, and there are a lot of other alternatives. There is something I came across recently. It's called Line Design or something. It's something like that. It's from Icon Scout. There are a lot of tools, but it at the end of the day, it comes down what you want to use, and it's comes down to preference. So let's review this website. It's pretty cool, I would say that. But I see a few things which I would like to mention. So right away, when I land on your website, I see that my attention is being grasped here, here, and here. So I hope that's intentional. And the layout looks a bit weird, but that's as I've said earlier, design is subjective, and your design sense will improve as you progress with designing multiple things. So this is good. And I would just say that, I used to do the same kind of thing. I used to have, this kind of hover effects and stuff. So my recent learning is that there should be a really less amount of moving parts in your website, in your design. What moving part does is it complicates your website unnecessarily. And if you reduce the number of moving parts in your website or your design, it just feels more solid and has a premium feel to it. If you notice, like, I don't know what this icon means. If I'm not a designer, I understood what that means right now, that you are online. But if I'm not a designer and I'm like a new user, I think I would feel like that's something like a signal, and I should need to click on that on top of it. So think from a perspective of like a normal user, and try to implement your design decisions based on that. Then also there's the logo. You could just remove the bouncy effect and you could keep the byte thing, because the byte looks good, but you could just remove the bouncy effect. Uh, yeah, there's review, and this looks good. I mean, it's pretty clean. Let's check responsivity for it. I hope that's responsive. Okay, you made it responsive as well. That's good. That's good. No, okay. There you got you lost some points. It's not responsive. You made the cards responsive, but the hero part it's not responsive. But looking at the design, I feel like you're like a beginner designer. So it looks good, pretty solid. You can improve on top of it. I also could be pretty nicky on it and picky on it and say that it's not properly aligned here. I see that you're using absolute values here and it's not center aligned. It's not center aligned. And these small things do matter a lot when it comes to production sized app. So please try to implement, focus on that as well. Oh, this is like a very good resource, guys. So make sure you go through this. I'll mention this in my resources. So this is a very good resource. So any best practices while using Tailwind? I think using Tailwind itself is a best practice. And if you wanna have more on top of it is try grouping elements and how Tailwind works. Tailwind works similar to how CSS works. So if I have, let's say, text orange, if you notice, I'm using text orange multiple times here. If I just remove this and add text orange just to the div element, the parent element, this will apply to the child elements as well. So try reducing the amount of reuses per class. That should be fair. There is a animation resource guy. Is that yeah? Pratik, I think they have included animation resources. It's in web interaction section, and these two guys on YouTube. Though I think you could learn a lot about animations from there. Inspired from my design, Gyan Sagar. Oh, you're just taking the hero section from your text devs. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, that's like a pretty vibrant page. Looks solid. I don't think it's responsive, but it's not responsive. Yeah, it's a good start. It's a good start. Sakura wallet. I think I've seen this. This is like a pretty cool wallet. If you guys know me from Web3, I was the guy that got selected for creating a clean wallet UI. So this is the wallet I did, which got me in contact with Kirat Bhaiya, and story goes on from there. And this guy, whoever made this, uh, he was like a great competitor to me, and a really clean UI. This looks like a solid production level website. He has put tremendous amount of work in it. If you could notice, this looks like a real world application, and it's pretty cool. Great job on this, man. As a fellow designer, really appreciate this. I fucking love it. Uh, keep the good work. Keep up the good work. Is Figma free? Yes, it is free. Animation resources, I've already shared it. Class was good. Class was good. Okay. Less is more. Yeah, less is more. Do companies use these converting plugins? Um, what do you mean by companies, right? Like even a startup is a company, and right now everyone needs a shortcut. Everyone needs to get things done quickly. So yeah, they do use these plugins. Could you tell position in CSS? Position in CSS, it's pretty simple. It's like absolute, relative, and static. Yeah, these are the three positions: absolute, relative, and static. Uh, and I think did Kirat Bhaiya explain this? AK Bhaiya क्लास में बोले थे क्या?
Sorry.
Relative, absolute. No, a guy is asking about can I explain about position in CSS? Did Bhaiya explain about this in the CSS class, or should I do it?
Yeah, we just touched those things on the on the upper side,
अच्छा,
but
in the
we
CSS class.
end up में नहीं किए थे. But the thing is, the CSS positions are used for aligning the stuffs. For example, by default, the position
Exactly.
relative,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
you can make it static or like fixed according to. For example, if you want to make navbar sticky, then you can change it from relative to sticky. Then it will stick at the top of the page.
Yeah.
And
Let's give them an example.
yeah.
So if I go to navbar and I make that sticky. You guys notice that now the navbar has sticked at the top. So what changes have I done here? I made the position sticky. I have added top 0. It's a position element. If these position elements work only when you have the position set to sticky, fixed, absolute, or relative. So top, left, right, bottom. These are like the 4 position elements, attributes, which will work only when you have position set to absolute, fixed. Let's do fixed, and it's gonna fix it as the values which you're giving. Like I have fixed it at top 0, and let's do it right 0, and it will go center. I don't want it to be left 0. I want it to be right 0, and it will go to the right. That's how fixed work. So let's go back to sticky, and there you have it. Sticky navbar. That's basically how position works. Position helps you in aligning or aligning items on your web page. Let's go. I don't understand absolute. Double. Absolute basically it like वो खुद का क्या बोलते हैं मनमर्जी करता है absolute. If you give an element absolute, वो खुद की मनमर्जी करता है. It won't listen to anyone unless the parent element has relative in it. Absolute वो किसी के
For
नहीं सकता. It's
example,
like
if you
मेरी
have,
value रहेगी.
right. So for example, if you have one div, in that you have 2 images, and if they are relative, वो एक दूसरे के नीचे आएंगे on top of each other, like first image, and then after that there will be second image. But if you make second image absolute, it doesn't care about the first image or all that thing. It will be take its entire thing space. And there is a very nice thing about this CSS trick, where is a very nice resource about it. Keshav, if you can show them CSS trick position.
Mhm.
CSS tricks position. This is very nice article. You can just I guess not this. If you go back a little bit, not this one, second link, I guess.
This one.
Yeah, this is.
Okay. Yeah, this is like a pretty good blog. You could have it read.
And if
I
you,
would suggest you guys to. Yeah, sorry, please go on.
they have provided examples also. If you go down a little bit.
I will make a blog. Don't worry. I
अरे
also
हाँ,
have blogs. I post blogs.
yeah, we know blogs. Keshav will make it. Otherwise, I posted one one blog. If you can, just a minute.
Oh,
Drop
what's
that
your
link.
link, AK? Where do you post your blogs, AK?
Sir, that's not mine, but just okay, then refer it.
Refer Akash blog. So
I hope
this
there
is
are
like a
only,
great resource, I would say.
only 100 people. Good. So this is the thing.
Don't leak that.
There are examples also. You can use that code. Just go down a little bit more. Yeah. So
Okay.
this is position static. Yeah, position static, top 50 pixel, 2, 3. And there is code pin, link to code pin here. You can go and try it by yourself.
So yeah, this is like great resource if you want to understand about positions. Perfect. This is like good one. I also do some blogging, but I'm a bit lazy. So basically what Absolute does is, so this is the image set at Absolute. And if I add some position values to it, let's say top 0 and right 0, it's gonna go to right 0 and top 0. So it's gonna stay there. It won't move. Whatever you do, it's not gonna move. It's gonna be there. So if I make it to static, static is on by default. The top and right won't have any say when you have static on. Then let's do sticky. And what sticky does is, sticky will be sticky is similar to fixed, but it will be this element will now be fixed with the parent element. Parent is it called element? The
Fixed
parent tag.
means directly fixed, and sticky means when it comes to that thing.
Relatively fixed रहता है.
Yeah.
Relatively fixed रहता है basically.
Yeah. For example, if there is some button at the middle of page, and when you scroll up, and that button goes to the top of page, and then you can stick it like that.
I have an example for this. Let me show you guys this page. Okay, this is my one of my projects. If you notice the button down there, it's sticky. It's sticky to just this part of the page. If you go there, if you
Yeah.
notice that, it's sticky just to that particular part of the page. Uske baad it will be there. It will just be there. So this is a simple website. This is one of my projects.
Sure. Keshav, I guess
Let's end it.
let's end it because your
I
health
hope.
is good.
Okay, no worries. Thanks guys. Thanks for joining. Okay, good projects, guys. Anyways,
See you next
thanks
week.
for joining, guys. Thanks for joining. Have a great weekend. I hope the class was good. If not, let me know in Twitter or anywhere. Let's drop a message in Discord and we'll do a reclass or something. All right, guys. Thanks. Have a great weekend. Bye. Bye-bye.